My association has largely been in the public-private partnership in the metro domain, and I've also headed possibly the biggest PPP project at that time. That was in 2010. That was the Mumbai Metro Line 2. So it was 11,000 crore project. It was subsequently this Hyderabad, I think, became a bigger project. But yes, I mean, it's PPP has been a challenge in India. Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast brought to you by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Priya George, and today's episode is one we've genuinely been looking forward to. When we talk about experience, most of us think in decades. But what if I told you our guest today brings with him over 4 decades of hands-on leadership in one of the most complex sectors, railways and metros? That's the kind of legacy that we are exploring today. Joining us on FaceTime with Leaders today is Mr. Neeraj Jain, a name that resonates across India's infrastructure landscape, from Indian railways to urban metro systems, from policy discussions with Niti Aayog to arbitration cases involving 150 crore rupees.
So thank you, Priya. I'm also excited to be on this platform with you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
And we are excited as well, Mr. Jain, with such a vast spectrum of roles: chief engineer, advisor, project head, arbitrator, and even a mentor. You've seen this industry evolve up close. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been an exciting journey. There's been a lot of learning, and I still feel that there's still a lot to be learned. And yes, in my position, I think there's a lot that I can pass on to the next generation, so to speak. Thank you.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Mr. Jain, why don't we start at the very beginning? Take us back to where it all began for you. And if you could just walk us through your story the way you've lived it, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, well, it's been a long journey. It all started. I joined IIT Kanpur in the civil engineering bachelor's program, and then I mean, apart from academics, I was passionately interested in sports. I was also elected as the sports secretary in the student gymkhana. Apart from that, I captained the IIT Kanpur team in athletics. I mean, that gave me a lot of perspective on leadership and how to take people along. And
Right.
then I continued with the master's in structural also at IIT. Meanwhile, I had sat for the UPSC engineering services. By the time I completed my M.Tech, my civil services results came through, and I got the Indian Railway Service of Engineers, which is a somewhat sort of service amongst the UPSC engineering service aspirants.
Right.
And so that was an exciting part. And it's been a lot of learning because, frankly, railway engineering is not something that is taught in a conventional civil engineering syllabus. So it's been a learning all on board the railways. Railways have been good teachers. And so 30 years in the railways, and of which 17 years were, 13 years or so at the level of chief engineer.
Wow.
And it's been exciting. I was working in Bilaspur division and Bilaspur and Southeastern Railway, which were then the bread and butter. It was a very hard life, but anyway, I came through. And then in 2011, I quit the railways. I joined as the head of Mumbai Metro. I mean, it was a really challenging project, 11,000 crore project, something that I couldn't imagine myself doing, heading in the railways. And since then, I've been largely in the metro and the railway, I mean, freelancing in the metro and the railway sector. And meanwhile, I got a bit interested in farming. I've got some farming done. I'm doing a bit of arbitration. And it's been largely an excited life, but I'm still excited about the future. Thank you.
Right. That's interesting. If I may ask, why farming?
Oh, well, I've always, I mean, ancestrally, I come from a farming family. My father had a rural background.
Okay,
Yes, it was always, I mean, environment has been my passion along the way. And
right.
so this is near Nagpur. We have a substantial holding and trying to do some
Okay,
organic farming, so to speak.
okay, okay. So it's literally going back to grassroots, if I may
Yes,
say,
yes,
being connected with your roots.
yes.
Thank you. That's really inspiring and remarkable at the same time. Something that we came across when reading about your work, um, something that stood out to us was a formation improvement method that you developed, which is not just impressive, it's also institutional now. And that's rare because a lot of people bring ideas, but then very few actually get down to executing it, and making something that becomes a standard. So we have to ask, what sparked that innovation in the first place? And when you look back, what was the real challenge or the uphill part in getting it accepted?
Yeah. So as I've said, I worked on the Southeastern Railways, and it was a really challenging railway because there's a lot of freight movement there. And
Hmm.
when you have bad formation of soils are poor and the speed restrictions have to be imposed,
Oh,
it puts a heavy strain on the throughput of the trains, and there's always a constant pressure to remove those restrictions. So this was a
okay.
method which I evolved, and it was in a sense innovative because it could do very cheaply and with the local resources what would
Hmm.
otherwise be done with a machine which would possibly today cost
Right.
maybe 50 to 100 crores. So that was exciting, but the real, not the challenge was not really getting the concept accepted. The,
Hmm.
the establishing the concept was the real challenge because I had to dismantle a portion of the track, 300, 400 meters, and then prove it. So, and that's a challenge because working on a railway like Bilaspur division, and you
Hmm.
dismantle the track and then you find that you can't put it back together. So that was
Right.
a real challenge, but once it got done, the method got accepted and recognized.
Wow, that's impressive. Which brings me to a question which is slightly um, off script, which came to my mind when you were responding is,
Yeah.
um, given the length and breadth of our country and given the varied kind of terrain that our country has, I think the kind of land on which I think the tracks are laid, uh, that must pose quite a challenge as well, right? I mean,
The paper is essentially titled at relooking at the concept of ruling gradients. I don't know if you have the time. I'll just maybe I'll take
sure,
2 minutes to
please go
expound on
ahead.
it. See, our ruling gradient is a concept. It's slightly technical. It's a concept that what is the steepest gradient that you can have anywhere on a section,
Okay.
and at any spot.
Hmm.
Now, this is a traditional approach where you had short trains. You started with 100, 200 or 300 meters, and the locomotive had a hauling capacity and a particular grade. You couldn't haul trains beyond that grade. Now,
Hmm.
present concept is that you have trains in Australia, say, or in China or America, and shortly in India, where you have
Right.
trains running three kilometers or 4 kilometers long, where a spot gradient does not matter. But we have still tried to, the railway engineers have still stuck on to the old concept of a ruling gradient that any spot, the gradient should
Hmm.
not be more than a certain amount. Whereas my
Hmm.
concept is that it doesn't matter what's it a spot, as long as what's the effective gradient. I would call it an effective gradient over the
Hmm.
length of the train. So that's the broad concept. So coming back to your question, yes,
Hmm.
there are challenges, and I'm trying to address that in a slightly innovative way. I hope the concept gets accepted internationally after my presentation in Australia.
Absolutely. That's incredible. And we wish you success at the conference. Mr. Jain, when someone's been at the heart of the system, fixing what's broken, redefining what's possible, from formation rehab to overseeing some of the country's most demanding freight corridors, it's not just engineering, it's stewardship. So let me ask you this, with the benefit of all those years in the field, where do you believe Indian rail logistics is truly headed?
See, it's a very, I'm excited that you have raised this issue of, different types of terrains and where the railway lines run and the challenge. I'm particularly excited about this because I mentioned earlier about the paper I'm presenting in the New Zealand, and that is precisely on this concept. The title of the paper is Rationalizing the Concept of the Ruling Gradient. It's a bit technical, but nevertheless, I would love to share it on this forum because
Right.
so basically, see different terrain, particularly when you have a up and down terrain, and and so we have historically a concept of what you call the ruling gradient, that is the maximum spot slope or gradient that you can have on that line. So
Right.
this has been born of a historical perspective where the trains used to be, short trains, 100 to 100. So you can't, so you would have that maximum gradient because the engine couldn't pull a train heavier than that on that particular gradient. Now, present
Mm,
concept is that where you're having trains which are, in Australia or China
mm,
and some heavy haul countries, where you're having trains up to 300, 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, the gradient at a spot really doesn't matter. So I've just got a concept that you can have what is called an effective gradient. That is the gradient that is over the length of the train rather than a spot gradient. So this would
yes.
allow you to, hug the ground topography more closely, and
Right.
any rises and dips you could rapidly meet, and so that's the concept. So I hope that this concept also gets accepted in this seminar at Australia, sorry, rather New Zealand, and it gets finds a universal acceptance.
Absolutely. That's incredible, Mr. Jain. And we wish you success at the conference in New Zealand. Mr. Jain, one thing that really struck me was your engagement with Niti Aayog and your leadership in public-private partnership ventures. Because stepping into that space isn't just about engineering or execution, it's about bringing worlds that often speak very different languages. From where you stand, what makes a public-private partnership click? And what do you think people will still misunderstand about how they function?
See, frankly, my association has largely been in the public-private partnership in the metro domain, and I've also headed possibly the biggest PPP project
Mm,
at that time. That was in 2010. That was the
mm,
Mumbai Metro Line 2. So it was an
mm,
11,000 crore project. It was subsequently this Hyderabad, I think, became a bigger project. But
mm,
yes, I mean, it's PPP has been a challenge in India. I won't
mm,
say it has been a success. None of them have been a success except that L&T have been able to execute and complete the Hyderabad project. But nevertheless, they also say that they have lost a lot of money. And it is quite understandable because what happens is, I think our framework, our bureaucratic framework and our mindset
mm,
is really not really set for a part. I mean, what we call a partnership. There's still a
mm,
master and servant relationship. The PPP proponent is still thought कि ये तो हमारा ठेकेदार है, so to speak.
mm,
So that
mm.
mindset is still there. But
Right.
what really needs to make it a success is it should be a well planned, well conceptualized project. I'll
True.
tell you what has happened in, the 2010 Mumbai Metro Line 2. Frankly, it was a fiasco because it never happened, and that Line 2 is now being made under EPC by the government. That's 2010. It was to be running in 2015, and
Right.
now possibly it will get through in 2026. So we have lost about 11 years. So there's something in a PPP that's called the what is the government's commitment to what they will give, like in terms of
Mm,
right of way and permissions and approvals and all. So these are called the condition precedents, and the government assures
mm,
at the time of tendering that yes, this we'll do in 3 months, 6 months. But my experience was 3 years down the line itself, they were still saying, "अच्छा आप शुरू तो करो, हम देखते हैं." But see, for a private player who's, let's say, already put 4,000 or 5,000 crores of borrowed money, which is for which he's paying 9 or 10% interest, to have that sort of uncertainty. All those Excel sheets, RORs get thrown to the winds if your project has, even got extended by a year. So all your ROR figures get thrown to the winds. So that's a real challenge, and that can be addressed if there's an equitable allocation of awards and you can say compensation, in the sense that if I'm speaking on behalf of Reliance, because Reliance were the proponents for this PPP. It was 11,000 crore project. You have put in 10,000 crores. Your interest liability itself is 1,000 crores per year on that project. And the contract says, for any delay on the government, you might get some petty 5 crores or 6 crores. So there's no parity in what you suffer and what are the compensations. So these are some issues that need to be addressed. There has to be a proper framework, maybe a single window clearance. And I think that is what is a real challenge in PPP.
Right. Mr. Jain, which is a great segue to a question that came to my mind when you were responding. When, with all those years of experience, and you've definitely overseen, projects which starts out as an idea and then it takes shape as a project, right? I just wanted to know that a lot of planning goes into large scale projects such as these. What do you think of over planning? Do you think there is anything as over planning, or is it overrated? Or should it be followed? What do you think? Because there are so many factors that one might not have control over.
I think on the contrary to over planning, I think we have a concept of under planning. For political compulsions or whatever. Just gung ho chalo ho jayega. We will play by the year and get along. And reverting back to the example of the Mumbai Metro Line 2, the condition president said that six months after the appointed date, all your ROW would be over. But this didn't happen even 3 years down the line. So this shows that something was seriously wrong with the planning. Commitments. But planning also is, I think, not fully done, in the sense that the project got stuck because both the depots that were there got stuck into environmental clearance issues. So these shows that there's nothing like too much planning. If you go in for with too much, with good planning, and take your time in planning, I think it is to the overall benefit of the project. But somehow, as a nation, there may be political compulsions, lots of political election. अब इस महीने है, तब तक concession award होना है, काम शुरू हो जाना है सड़क पे, so that public देखे. So these are, frankly, I've seen this happening as chief engineer Calcutta Metro, because that was the favorite place of one of our politicians who wanted works to be seen by the public, so to speak. So that is the real hazard. That so frankly, there's nothing like too much planning. It is always good that everything is put in place, and then you jump, rather than jump and then you try to thrash around and learn to swim. That's my thought on that.
Makes sense. Thank you for responding, and that really puts things into perspective. It's not often we get to hear that kind of an inside out view, which is very grounded, real, and layered. So thank you for sharing that. Mr. Jain, when someone has already had the kind of impact that you've had across systems, across decades, it's only natural to wonder what's next for you. Do you see yourself stepping into more formally strategic boardroom roles, lending your insight at the policy or corporate governance level?
Yeah, obviously. I frankly have a 360-degree perspective on largely in infrastructure, but in a lot of, also in agriculture and in a lot of fields that I have an interest in. So, so yes, I think I can contribute with my perspective from, my knowledge from perspective that I gained from looking at things from various sides of the table. I've been in the government, I've been on the other side. I've been with the contractors, I've been with the consultants, I've been with the independent engineers and with the bankers. So yes, I think I can contribute a lot from my knowledge and domain expertise. So I'm still excited and not yet ready to hang up my boots.
Oh, absolutely. And it's clear that even with everything that you've accomplished, there's still this strong sense of purpose driving you. Mr. Jain, you've been right at the intersection where policy meets practice. And in all that, I imagine ESG isn't just a checklist, it is a mindset. From where you stand, how do these principles actually influence long-term decisions in rail and metro planning, especially when the pressure is always on to deliver faster and bigger?
See, I will just revert back to my response to the earlier question. Faster and bigger is always a desirable objective,
Right.
but faster and bigger after a due planning process is what is required. What we tend to do is we try to visualize a project on the drawing board. There's not a proper, possibly many cases, not even a proper survey. The team doing the survey has also already been told by the government that this is the conclusion that you must reach. And and then you put that project to bidding and tendering. There may be some political compulsions. Somebody's brought the land somewhere, so you want the project to get started quickly so that the land values rise. And also there are lots of extraneous considerations that come in. But yes, doing faster and bigger is a desirable objective, provided it is done with a due bit of diligence and planning. So that said and done, I mean, another perspective I can share with you is a lot of projects. I mean, success has, as they say, the success has many progenitors, and failure is an orphan. There are so many projects where people may claim कि ये मैंने करा है, whereas I may from a different perspective say कि ये बन गया despite them or in spite of them. But then lots of people will claim credit. But there is a lot of I mean, I would still emphasize a lot of planning. And I've seen a lot of projects, somebody comes and says, ये 6 महीने में करना है, and his next man says, नहीं, ये 4 ही महीने में करना है. So, and it may get done, but there are lots of sacrifices in terms of quality that are made. I see it firsthand, because
Correct.
people will go
Correct.
back, patting their back कि हमने करा दिया और हमने करा दिया, वो 1 साल में
Yeah.
होगा, तुमने 6 महीने. But these are the risks we have to look at, because when there's a pressure to कर दो जैसे भी है, तो there are qualities.
Yes,
And
deliver.
I mean, particularly in infrastructure, I'm looking at a metro which you're looking at
Understood.
to last you for maybe 100 years, and if you compromise on the quality today at the
Correct.
altar of कि इसको अगले महीने करना है, ये 2 महीने में करना है, so there are long-term risks that we take. Of course, the people who have executed it, they will go away patting their backs, and the people who are to maintain it, they will be the ones who will suffer, and the nations will suffer in there. So that's
Correct.
some thoughts that I just want to have.
Correct. Mr. Jain, you have been involved in arbitration cases involving over 150 plus crores. So, could you share with us your experience into what that looked like for you? Could you share what that has been like for you?
Okay. Okay, see that number of 150 crores was just a one-off arbitration case where the claims amounted, I think, something of the order of 167 crores. But then that 167 crores or 150 crores is just a number. And I mean, largely the arbitration cases I've handled are, I mean, mostly railway cases, I mean, of the order of 10 crores and all. But it's not really the numbers which count. I think what gives me the satisfaction as an arbitrator is the the dispensation of justice quickly and promptly. And
Right.
I mean, in terms of my excitement that I got in dealing with an arbitration case, I would go to the other end of the spectrum, that where I dealt with a case Rani Constructions versus Northern Railway, where the claims were less than 1 crore or maybe of the order of 1 crore. But it gave me a tremendous amount of satisfaction. You would not believe that this case was lingering under various arbitrators from, I think, 1993. So I'm repeating 1993. It came to me, I think, in 2021. I resolved it in 6 months or so in 2021. But more than the speed, I thought that I dispensed justice in the sense that uh, there were contractors' claims, and the railways said that the railways, I mean, contract has a provision that contractors' dues will not be paid interest. So I took it as a more pragmatic way that prohibition of interest is within the framework, within a reasonable framework of the contract, in the sense that the bill may not be ready or the file may not be available or the officer may not be, you can't claim. Obviously, a case which lingers from 1993 to 2022, that is when I decided it. You can't say that the interest is not payable, because the money had a different value in 1993 and in 2022. I'm happy to say that the Northern Railway went into contesting that, to challenge that award in the court, and the court upheld that award, that it is a well-reasoned award. So that gave me a Delhi court. So that gave me a tremendous amount of satisfaction. So I've handled about 30 cases, but it's not the number which matters, but the satisfaction is that you are able to be fair and deliver justice. And so that's what really excites me. So I continue to be in the arbitration field. Thank you.
Right, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that with us. And as we near the end of the interview, Mr. Jain, you've been a part of Directors Institute for a while now. And given your background, your perspective carries real weight. How has your experience been so far?
I would rate it as outstanding. I mean, it's been I mean, being associated with real competence and a real genuine facilitation. So I think it's worth. I mean, definitely a great institution to be associated with, and I would recommend it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Mr. Jain. That's really encouraging. Thank you for sharing that with us. Mr. Jain, we have neared the end of this interview, and it has been nothing short of a masterclass in leadership, engineering, and legacy thinking. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your journey, your very valuable insights with such honesty and depth. And it's been a privilege having you on FaceTime with Leaders. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you, Directors Institute and Priya George. Thank you so much for hosting me here. Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure too. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the pleasure was all ours as well.
Thank you.
To our audience, thank you for joining us on this episode of FaceTime with Leaders by Directors Institute. Stay curious, stay inspired, and we'll see you next time with another voice shaping tomorrow's boardrooms and beyond. This is your host, Priya George, signing off. Until then, take care.